What's up, good people? This is Dr. J, and we are back for another episode with Just Heal with Dr. J. Some of you have been eavesdropping on the episodes, and I want to challenge you to click that subscribe button. Listen, we are available on Spotify, the Black Effect Podcast Network, iHeart Podcast Network, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can check her when she sits down.
I just had to check. Good? All right. Listen, we got Miss Adina Howard
Hey.
on Just Here with Dr. J. I gotta make sure I'm fresh, man. I gotta make sure I'm fresh, man. I'm sitting down with Miss Howard. This is exclusive. So I just gotta make sure I'm fresh. All right, you gonna be, what's she doing right here? See
Yeah, she got to sit right there.
You want some water and bottle?
Yeah.
Just Heal with Dr. J is going to be a space where we foster healing conversations, conversations that are life enriching, conversations that are going to provoke thought, that's going to provoke change, and also provide insight. And so that's what I'm excited about. All right, welcome back to another episode of Just Heal with Dr. J, and I am your host, Dr. J. Barnett. Listen, I am a 80s baby, and I know some of you were probably in 95, 96 years. I think I was in 7th or 8th grade, but I wasn't old enough to listen to rap and hip hop because my dad was a pastor, and so we had to sneak and watch BET because BET could not be played at our house. I remember an encounter where my dad caught me watching BET After Dark, and let me tell you, it wasn't a good sight because he said, "What are you doing watching, boy? Not what you doing watching this. What are you doing watching?" So it was like, why are you watching this? And so I can vividly remember this song called Freak Like Me. Again, I was in school and I was doing what every other 7th and 8th grader was doing. I was watching Miss Adina Howard, as all of you were, wherever you were. Anyway, I am honored and I am humbled to have none other than herself, Miss Adina Howard, and this recording artist who has been a pillar in women liberation in the 90s, because what she did in the 90s, I don't think we ever seen done until some years later with some other artists. I won't name them at this time. But Miss Adina Howard, welcome to the healing community.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I'd have had this big loud voice and she come here with this, "Thank you for inviting."
This is what happens. So when I'm on camera, I'm not comfortable in front of the camera. So there's something that comes over me where I start talking. I start to just kind of, my voice comes down, but like coming through the door, I'm like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
I project, but when this stuff is around, I'm just a little.
Listen, I want to say thank you because you guys, this is the first time she's done this. And for her to be open to come to the healing space, I don't take it for granted. Thank you to Kasha. Thank you to London for aligning all of this, because what I wanted my platform to be is a space for people from all walks of life to come, right? Because we know you as the artist, but today I think we get we will have the opportunity to get to know the woman behind the music, not just behind the song, because you've done other things. And so I just want to say thank you for lending me your time. I know you're touring right now, and so thank you for stopping by in Dallas to sit down with the good doctor, as my mother say. Mama, I love you. I gotta always shout her out because she will say, "You know, I gave you that name, boy." So thank you, Mama. So how you feeling today?
Baby, I feel better than good. I'm blessed and marinated in divine favor.
Blessed
And marinated
and
in divine,
marinated
yes,
in
down to the
divine
marrow.
flavor.
Yes.
Mama, I'm about to get my mama that, because my mom, I can call her right now. She gonna be like, I'll be like, "Mama, what you doing?" Blessed and highly favored. I'm gonna tell her,
Yes.
have to tell her she gotta add that marinated in there.
Yes, marinated in divine favor. Absolutely.
Man, you look good.
Thank
You look
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
I was telling you earlier, like, whatever you're doing, you need to put in a bottle and sell it.
You know what? It started early. When I had access to, the finances to be able to really do skincare. I just really started a really good skincare routine for me, and it just carries over. This right here is what people see the most of, and so I just want to make sure it stays on point.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't wear a lot of makeup, so this is just for for this particular situation.
Well, have you always not worn a lot of makeup, or was
Honey, I was born in 73. My mother did not play that. My mother raised four girls. And one of the things that we could not do, because like you, raised in a Christian household, no secular music, there was no makeup, that type of thing. So the seeds that have been sown into me have grew into just not really caring to wear makeup because I like what I see in the mirror when I look at me with no makeup. So I'm fine with that.
I'm just gonna let that sit because somebody need to hear that because we live in a society where I think it's not just women, it's men that feel unless we are able to accessorize ourselves, we don't feel comfortable in our skin.
Honey, let me tell you. The only reason why I have on earrings right now is because my sister said I need because my sister said I needed earrings. I don't do jewelry. I'm not really a fan of like the embellishments. I like to just I'm very, very simple when it comes to dress and things of that nature. I become the peacock when I have to be Adina Howard.
Mm, I love that. You become the peacock when you become Adina Howard.
Mhm.
Now, you've been able to sort of kind of I don't want to say live in both spaces, but you had to sort of employ both spaces where there is Adina Howard, the act, and then there's Adina Howard, the woman. What was that like to manage both?
I don't know. It's not something that I even think about, honestly. It's when it's time to turn it on, I turn it on. And when I turn it off, I turn it off. I think a lot of time because for me, I don't believe the hype. I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. So I just go to work. That's all it is for me. I go to work. And what I know is when it's time to clock in, put the face on, put the costume on, put everything on that they want to see, clock in, go to work, do what I have to do. And as soon as I'm done and I'm able to clock out, I clock out. It's not something that I have to think about. I just do it.
So, because you were what 22 when you made that song?
I was, let's see, it came out in 95, so I was 21. I was probably about 20.
So you were 21 when Freak Like Me came out. Now, did you have that same mentality that you were clocking in and clocking out? Like, did you have that same mentality that you have today? Or had you not really sort of evolved in a way where you could separate the act from the person?
My mother always told me it's a job. Show up and do what you're supposed to do. Show up on time, get the job done. And so that's all I know.
And how did that song come about? Because, I was a teenager when that song came out, but you had did something that Salt and Pepper hadn't done. You had did something that Queen Latifah hasn't done. You had did something that MC Light. You had did something that no female artist has done. You had created this song that created sexual liberation for many women at that time, right? And being comfortable in your sexuality, and then also verbalizing what it was that you wanted. How did that come about?
My personality, who I was at the time. It's interesting because my sisters and I, my mother raised four girls by herself, so we lived in a fatherless household. And being in a fatherless household, and finally, like my mother, like I said, raising us in a very, I'm gonna say a strict upbringing when it came to Christianity or whatever the case may be. Um, I think once I got a taste of sex, it was just like, oh, okay, I like this. And so just me being that person out there, bless you, me becoming that, enjoying sex promiscuous, um, and just doing what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. It just came about that way. My manager, my former manager, he and I had conversations and he was like, okay, all right, I see what it is. And then R. Kelly was out at the time, and of course, Madonna was out at the time. And what they wanted was to take my personality and create a female R. Kelly slash Black Madonna.
Wow.
and you get Adina Howard.
Wow. Now, when did you start doing music? Like, be-
Professionally?
yeah, because you're 21 years old when
Mhm,
this song released.
mhm,
Like, you have your sexual experience that opens your mind, and so Pandora boxes have been opened. So it's like,
mhm.
man, I really like this. And how do you go from really liking this to now? This is like, yo, I'm pinning this down to be a song.
Well, I didn't write the song. There were some guys out of Baltimore, Maryland in management that wrote the song based off of my personality because management was like, look, this is who she is and this is how she is and this is what we're wanting to um, put out there in the public. It's honestly, it's one of those things that it was just meant to be. And I tell people all the time, I didn't choose music. Music chose me. And my mother used to like force me to sing as a kid. I'm trying to find a better word than force, but that's pretty much what she made me do. She she made me sing for company. She made me sing in choir at church. And so it's something that I've always been doing music. I've always been singing. And somehow, as I got older, people would find out that I was a singer. They were like, oh, she sings. And then people would just gravitate to me and want to put me in the studio and record. And it was just like, okay. And I just record. I just go to work.
So how many takes did it take for that song?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know. Interesting story though. So when we first did the demo, it was like, okay, this is, I can do it. It's cool. And I remember being in New York to officially record the song. And I got to a space where I didn't want to do it. And I was just, and I don't know what came over me, but it was a space where I was just like, I don't think I want to do this. And management was like, okay, we're here now. We have to get this done. And it's just, we did it. Again, show up having to go to work.
Yeah. Were you shocked by the success of it?
You know what? Honestly, I'm still in the same space. I'm not shocked, but I don't even know really how to grasp the concept because my mother still asks me to this day, has it hit you? And I'm like, no,
Are you serious?
it hasn't hit me.
30 years later?
I don't, it's a job.
Adina, come on. Like,
I and I'm gonna say this with all due respect, I bullshit you not. It's like it's a job. I don't know what I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. I mean, it's my mother told me as a kid, you show up, do what you're supposed to do, and it's I don't so I mean, I'm grateful for the
right,
success,
right.
but it's not like, oh my God, I'm Adina Howard. It hasn't because at the end of the day, what I know and the experiences that I've had, people don't care that I'm Adina Howard. I ain't paying their bills. I ain't writing them a check. I'm not employing them. So a lot of times they're like, okay, and I've had that experience multiple times before. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, let me
Yeah.
just.
Well, when I talk about, has it hit you, it's just what you've been able to accomplish through the song, because the Adina Howard or Dr. J, these are just titles, right? So it's what I do as a therapist and a clinician and speaker and all these different things. It's not who I am. It's part of me, but it's not who I am.
And I think that's probably the reason why is because it's not who I am. It's just a part of what I do. It's like, okay, it's a job title. It's a job title. It's just what it is for me.
Yes. So in some way, do you feel that has kind of kept you sane throughout this process?
Yeah. Yeah. Not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not, believing the hype that surrounds me or surrounded me. Absolutely.
Yeah. And particularly for people in that industry who did not have the stability of thought, right? And they did not have the groundness and they did not have the foundation around what they were doing during that time. When you look back at it, are you glad from or should I say, are you proud of the decision that you made to be as you are today in your 50s? Because there's some artists, right, that started out with you, right? I mean, life has changed for them. Who they are has changed, and they weren't able to sort of transition after the song was over or the run was over. Are you proud of what you've been able to do after the success of that song?
Absolutely. Absolutely. longevity is the key, because every entertainer has a shelf life. And so to be able to still be here doing what I do 30 years later and enjoying it more than I did when I first started.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why now? What do you enjoy about it now?
There's more freedom, a lot more freedom. When I first started in the industry, it was very structured, which the industry is structured anyway, but it was a structure that did not really allow me to enjoy it. It was get on the transportation, be it bus or plane, car, get in or on the transportation, get to the hotel, get yourself together, back to the transportation, get on stage, didn't get to hang around, get back into the transportation, either get back to the hotel to clean up, get back on the bus to head to the next destination. So it was just a boom, 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 boom. I didn't get to see the places that I traveled to. I didn't get to meet the people who enjoyed my music. I just got to see them from, stage level. And it was just an in and out, a constant in and out. So there was really no connection. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons too why it really hasn't hit me, because it's just like in and out, in and out. And it's like, oh, okay, go to work, show up, do what you're supposed to do, be on time, get paid, off to the next.
That's why it's a blur.
Yeah, very much a blur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you weren't really present.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. And now I'm more present, because I get to see, I pay attention to the faces. Um, I get to, just really be in the moment and communicate and connect, which is, it's nice to be able to connect.
I'm glad that you said that you get to connect now, because I think about aging often, and I remember having this conversation with this older gentleman that was getting ready to transition. And one of the things that we was talking about is I wanted to know what mattered to him the most now that he was getting ready to transition. And one of the things he talked about the memories that he were recalling.
Mm.
And what was interesting, that he can only recall the things where he were present.
Makes sense.
And I think that is what's really taken us out of life. Like, we are living longer, but our quality of life is not there as human beings anymore, because everything is like,
Moving so fast.
moving so fast, as you were saying earlier. And what I realize is, even in my own life personally, if you don't slow life down, it won't ever slow down for you. Like, you really have to slow life
But
down.
you're in control of, how fast and slow things move. You're in control of your narrative and what you want to have happen. I think that's part of why I appreciate it so much more now, is because now I'm in more control of how I do things. Not necessarily um, the persona, so to speak, but just being able to control how I move. That's one of the things that I appreciate more. And I'm, again, able to be present and have that control to say, okay, I want to slow it down. Okay. Or I want to move, I want to work a little bit more. I get to, I get to gauge things and figure out how I want to move forward.
Yeah, and you really, now you get to decide for you rather than a decision being made for you,
Absolutely.
in a sense. Is that like another level of freedom for you,
Absolutely.
as a woman?
Absolutely. I think as a human being in general, um, but for sure. And I'm the firstborn. So being the firstborn of my mother raising four girls and my dad having seven, and always being told as a child, you're the matriarch, which didn't know what that meant at the time, but I knew that there was a lot of responsibility, and I had sisters that I had to be, responsible for. So now to be able to have control of my life and say yes and no, maybe so, yeah, a lot more freedom.
Yeah. It's interesting, because most of my work started with girls in group homes and foster care. That's how I got started. And most of the girls were either sex trafficking victims or victims of sexual abuse, sexual assault. And here I was, this former football player that was working with these girls. And I created this program. I went to sleep one night, woke up, and started writing, and created an entire program. And these group homes bought it.
Nice.
So I'm in these group homes working with these girls, and most of them have had a traumatic experience with a man by the age of 13 and 14 years old. And when you talk about freedom, I'm thinking about most of these young girls, their experience with men or with their perpetrators, or with those individuals that had taken advantage of their innocence. They often spoke about decisions being made for them, and they felt like they did not have a choice to their freedom, which is the choice to choose.
Absolutely.
So when you're talking about freedom, there's something that leaps on the inside of me that you get to experience that now in this season of life. Bishop Jakes is my mentor, and he told me he said you're in your 40s. He said grind until you get to your 50s, and I need you to ride the wave in your 50s. And I said, Bishop, when did you truly start living? He said, in my 50s. You feel the same?
It's getting there. It's getting there. I'm riding the wave because I've sown enough seed. And,
That's exactly what he said.
I tell people all the time, the seeds you sow will grow, because they say you reap what you sow. So the seeds have been growing, and, I'm in that harvest where I'm able to coast a little bit more.
Yeah. What does that feel like for you?
Freedom.
Yeah.
It's peace. It's just really not having to concern myself or worry. I don't worry anyway, but not really having to concern myself with a great deal. Just be like, okay, just it is easy breezy.
Yeah.
Just as long as I stay up on top of my bills and do
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to do. Like they say, you do the things that you need to do in order to do the things that you want to do.
Right.
And so I've done a lot of what I needed to do so that I can do what I want.
Yeah. Now, 52-year-old Adina,
Mhm.
what does she think about 21-year-old Adina?
That's a good question. The 21-year looking back, um, looking at her, just, just trying to find her way. Not the most secure individual. Um, she was angry for sure. Um, I've noticed a lot of posts that say guys don't really like women. They use them for what they want to use them for, but they don't really like them. I was the same way with guys. I didn't really like them. Didn't have much respect for them. Just they served a purpose, and that was to pleasure me in that moment that I wanted to use them for that. And then it was like, okay, moving on to the next. So she was just out there, just living, being wild, and just trying to find her way.
Yeah.
You know,
What do you think she was looking for?
that's a good question. What was she looking for? She was probably looking for the replacement for her dad
Mm.
because he wasn't there. He didn't show up, being that he was an addict. Um, and so probably trying to find that love, that acceptance, because one of the things that I know is abandonment and rejection. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
Even though I know now his story is his story and it wasn't intentional. It was just he made the choices that he made,
Right.
that led to him not being present. But I think that's probably, what it was, is just trying to find that male figure to fill that void.
Yeah. You know, as you're talking, the clinical side of me, it goes back to thinking about the four types of childhood wounds: trust, guilt, abandonment, and this other one to come to me.
Come on, Dr. J.
Uh, this other one to come to me: guilt, um, trust, neglect, and abandonment, and guilt. When see, the abandonment wound is such a deep wound for children, and it's such a deep wound because being abandoned in such a young age and not having someone to fend for you, and not even just having someone to really guide you, it creates trust issues.
Absolutely.
And when you have trust issues, it develops the guilt wound, right? You feel guilty for certain things. and you develop the guilt for someone else's guiltiness, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I feel guilty for what they should have done?
That part.
And
Mm.
then you're dealing with this neglect of not being tended to, not being cared for. So when I'm asking you, what was she looking for? It's connected to the behavior in a sense, and I'm not clinicalizing at all,
I can see
but
that.
and this is why, like, I love to hear people's backstories to how they become, their stories to how they saw life, their stories to how they even perceive certain things, because it's usually associated with our experiences. And particularly for uh daughters, what I saw in those young girls is most of them that have been engaged with any sexual activity or anything, it was usually connected to a father wound. And they often would say the same thing, Adina, like, why didn't dad love me? Or why didn't dad stay? And this is why I work with men, and particularly for men who have daughters and sons too, because I think there's just something about a father, what he's able to give to that daughter.
At the end of the day, but I think a lot of times people fail to understand there's a reason why man and woman create, a human being, is because there's that balance there. And then when one is absent, be it a mother and or a father,
Yes.
it creates an imbalance.
Yes.
And I've had to learn that, again, he made his choices. He has his story, and whatever
Right.
transpired in his life, it happened to carry over into ours, when he decided that he wanted to create, with my mother. So I've gotten to a space now where I'm like, well, he has a story. And, if it weren't for him being absent, um, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't
Right.
have had the experiences. You wouldn't have Adina Howard here
Right.
on the podcast having this conversation.
Right. When you look at your other sisters, how's the relationship with the rest of them?
I love my sisters.
Oh,
I love my sisters. They are, I mean, one of the things that my mother made sure was that she always instilled in us that you are each other's best friends, period. And so if we didn't ever have friends in this life, we have each other. But I adore my sisters.
yeah. What were their thoughts when, like, you were, Adina Howard and the music
You got
and
to ask them. I don't know.
yeah.
I've never asked them. I know that
Really?
I've not, no. Because for me, it's always been a job.
Yeah.
It just so happens to put me in the spotlight. And fame is not something that I desire anyway. It's not something
Yeah.
that I have to accept it, but it's not something I necessarily embrace. But I think that, they're very proud. I can definitely tell you that. Very, very proud. Very supportive. And it helped them in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
For sure.
you know, I was asking you about what 52-year-old Adina thought about the 21-year-old.
Mhm.
Now let's step back into the 21-year-old.
Okay.
If she's looking at the 15-year-old, what is she saying about you?
The 15 or the 52?
I mean, the 21-year-old, what is she saying about the 52-year-old?
Damn, bitch. Come through, Am. Right?
Yeah.
You did that. She would be very proud. Very, very proud. Just to see the success, to see the fact that she's an overcomer, that in spite of, she didn't like buckle, she didn't fold, she didn't. One of the things that my dad says, you can slow me down, but you can't hold me down.
Mm,
And so there were some moments where I had to be slowed down, but it made sense.
yeah.
And so to just see that I'm an overcomer, to see that in spite of, I'm still here, I'm still standing, and the wounds or whatever, it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that you had to heal from on this journey?
Oh my gosh, the father wound. And I'm still in that process though.
Yeah.
Um, I have a better relationship with my dad than I did when I was younger. Um, I'm not as angry as I used to be because, again, I understand that we all have a story.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that children fail to pay attention to. Our parents have a story.
Yeah.
and it's not always about us, even though when we're coming this way, it's all about me. You had me, I
Yeah.
didn't ask to be here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like they have a story. They have their own wounds. They
Yeah.
have, they have things that they haven't healed from. And so having a better understanding as to, what, all of it is just a piece to the puzzle to make the whole, to bring the whole picture together. And so that's where I am right now.
Yeah. I usually say to my mom is that the older I'm getting, I understand you better as a woman
Yeah,
and beyond my mother. And I think the older that we get, we begin to see our parents as people
exactly. And not just parents.
and not just
So
parents.
I have a song that I just released called I Overstand. And so I'm having an overstanding. Even though I don't have children, I overstand,
Yeah.
that our our lives from the moment that we arrived, it's all been shaped, molded by, our
Mm,
experiences and the people who have poured into us and the people who have taken from us and so on and so forth. So
yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever want children?
Mm. One of the things was business over babies.
Okay.
Business over babies. And
Okay, unpack that because we're in a season where women are doing their thing and they're thriving. Study shows women are waiting later in life to have children. Women are pursuing their careers, and I'm all for it. And I never heard that one. That's a new one. Business over babies. That's a
yeah,
new one.
yeah.
So unpack that for me.
95, being an artist in the 90s, you had to make a choice. It was either career or family. And my mother raising four girls by herself and her sharing some of her story with me, when I was able to comprehend, kind of put me in a space of like, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like, nah. And just kind of knowing somewhat of her struggle, it was just like, nah, I'm cool on the baby bit.
yeah,
And at 52 and not having any children, I love babies though. I love babies. I think they're so adorable. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was volunteer as a cuddler. I would love to cuddle babies in the hospital and the NICUs. That's something that, I've wanted to do for a very long time because I love babies. But having my own, I can barely take care of a plant, so I'm like, I used to, growing up, my mother adopted a little one, and I was the one who changed her, fed her, bathed her, and so I've gotten that, that in me. But business, and I have the freedom to be able to get up and go. Like if I had a child right now, my mother would probably be here because she would be the one watching. I
yeah,
would have, because now, people can afford to have the nannies. They can have people who
yeah.
can, and then the industry is open now for females to be able to be mothers, to be able to have families, and they can bring them on stage and they can do all of this stuff. I wasn't afforded that growing up in this industry. So
And it kind of kept you in that train of thought.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you say to the woman that is choosing business over babies and unconsciously, right? Because she's locked in, she's focused. What would you want to say to her? Because there, you know, being in the space that I'm the only boy, so I grew up around women, and
Mhm.
I have sisters. My mom has 12 sisters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, not nice at all.
I
but
mean, that's like that because at the end of the day, you're surrounded by. Well, I'm surrounded by love, so
so
I
so
think it's
I so
nice.
I have an
He said,
understanding about women
mhm.
that most guys don't have. The level of wisdom that I've obtained just sitting and listening. But there's often a shame around women who have achieved and have not had kids. And I remember saying to this guy once, I was like, "Eh, the woman gets to decide if she wants to be a mother or not. No different than the dad gets to decide if the man gets to decide if he wants to be a dad. Like me personally, I don't like, I don't define a woman by her not having children.
Mm,
I define her by the life that she chose to live.
makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because it's not for everybody.
It's not to say all the time just because you can don't mean that you should.
Come on.
We can all do a lot of things, but should we be doing them? Are we, do we have the capacity to be that and do that? And I know for
That,
me, and plus, if I choose to have a child, I want I want the whole package. I want the husband. I want the father. Because if I wanted to just have a child, I could go adopt one. I could have been a baby mama easily if that was the case. But it's unfair to the child
yes,
to not have both parents,
yes,
and it creates an imbalance when
yeah,
there's not both, and you're not choosing healthy either, because
yes,
you can still have a parent, both parents, but then if you're not choosing wisely, then you're still creating a conundrum for the child.
yeah.
And I know for me, when I was younger, the guy served one purpose, and it was not to be a father.
Mm,
I was not trying to make daddies.
mm.
I was just trying to, practice, you know waste the seed and keep moving. That's what it was. Skeet, skeet, let's go. That's it.
Brothers, don't be offended. She's just telling the truth.
That's all they were good for in that moment. Because I was, again, the capacity. I didn't have the
Yeah,
capacity to want to be in a relationship, and I didn't have the time to be in a relationship. I was all over the place,
like
physically, mentally, spiritually. I was just all over the place.
listen, I respect that so much because Adina, I have to sit and listen to people because I'm not practicing full time, but I still see people virtually. I have to sit and help people process their inability to discern or to decide or in some way come to this awakening that they don't have the capacity. There's a lot of will, but you simply don't have the capacity. So I can honor somebody saying, listen, I would love to, but I just don't have the capacity. And I think we need more people to have that ability to have that level of thinking that says, hey, listen, I don't have the capacity, even though it's been deemed as this societal sort of achievement.
Hmm.
You got to get married. You got to have the family. You got to have the house. You got to have the car. You got to have the six-figure career. And I'm watching people who are literally dying.
They're failing at it because at the end of the day, they're trying to keep up with a society that says this is what it's supposed to be, and it's like, oh, but who said so, and for who? If it works for you, great. And I'm the type of person, I'm not an or person, I'm an and person. So I want this and that. But going back to the question, when it comes to the women, deciding business over babies, um, again, you have to do what you need to do in order to do what you want to do later. So if it is something that you would like to do eventually, then sow the seed, you know, get the foundation for the business, the success that you desire. And then, as you go along in your journey, if that's one of the destinations, you'll get there.
Right.
It's just do what you have to do first. But just know that at some point in time, if you're so focused on business, your womb may become geriatric, and that's a whole nother to do. Because they tell us our wombs are geriatric at what, by the time we're
35. Yeah, 35. After
oh, that's
35
late.
is a geriatric pregnancy.
So, and I know I'm like, at this point I'm senior. Like I'm so this my I'm damn near past being able to. So at 52, it's like, start considering adoption if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's right now you have to be an or person if you're building. But then once you achieve that goal, you can then be an and person. I want this and that. But right now you have to be the or.
Listen, I want to pause right there because that is what we do on here. That is a cards tear moment where I have to tear the cards. Like in this season, you have to be a or person.
Mhm.
Once you get to where you want to go, you can become the and person. That is so profound because most people have it backwards. It can't be and in a season where it has to be or.
Absolutely.
You either got to choose this or that. Oh my God, that's so profound. I'm sitting here, my brain is like, man, I could teach that thing because I've watched so many people, they're backwards. And it's like, no, it can't be or right now. I mean,
Right.
it can't be and, it has to be or. You
Absolutely.
have to make a choice. And I think, I have this conversation all the time with guys, and it's like, man, ain't nobody chose her because she got no kid. And I'm like, brother, every woman is not on that plane. There are some women that are on a different trajectory where their career does take precedence, and there are some women where it's like, I never wanted that, and that's
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
So if you could speak to the women, this is your camera right here, but if you could speak to that woman
Mm.
who's at that place where it's like no kids, they're successful, what would you say to her?
Girl, you better live your life. Live it like it's Gucci golden. Um, because you know what? I am at peace with not having children. I'm at peace coming home to just no one being there. I'm at peace with not having to clean up after kids, after a whole grown ass adult. I can just come home and I'm at peace. And if that's where you are, it is okay to just be with you and yourself and feel no guilt, feel no shame. Um, because if you're at peace with it, then that's where you're supposed to be. That's exactly where you're supposed to be.
And I love that you shared that it's okay, because Maya just recently came out, said she never desired to be married. The
It's
artist
overrated.
Maya. Really?
Well, let me say
No,
this.
no, no, no,
Let
no,
me say
no.
this.
Don't
For me,
retract.
no, no, no.
Don't
Let me
retract,
let
because
me
I
say
want to go. I
this.
want to go deeper. I want to unpack that.
I think it's overrated because it's expected. Um, and I know when I got married, it wasn't for the right reasons. I was in survival mode. I wasn't in a space where I truly wanted to be with that person because it was like,
Yeah,
oh, now don't get me wrong. It was a perfect fit for that moment because it was survival mode. So it was
yeah.
perfect for that. But outside of that, to me, it was overrated because I don't really know what it's supposed to do for a person, what it's supposed to bring. I'm at peace where I am right now. If I do have someone come into my life, um, and we're in alignment, we,
That word alignment.
it's a partnership, I'm game. But for me, I don't feel like it has to be paper. And I know people say, the covenant and this and that, and, they start to get biblical. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? It's overrated because I know that there are a lot of I should say, a lot of single married people,
Ooh.
you know, and there are a lot of people who are in relationships that aren't married. And they're, it's like, okay, so there are couples who aren't married, but they're functioning at a capacity where it's working. But the minute that they sign some paper and they do it, then it's all of a sudden it falls apart. And it's
And
something.
why you think it falls apart?
I think there's a mindset that comes with it.
Yeah.
There's a mindset that comes with it. There's an expectation, unrealistic expectations or unvoiced expectations. And
Mhm.
and I tell people all the time, expectations ruin relationships, especially those that have not been vocalized,
Yeah.
And so, but I just think for me, it's, unless it's a line, that's what God says, this is the person for you. And I want you to be married, then okay. But other than that,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
You as you was talking, I was thinking about the meme where the lady says, for me to get married, God gonna have to come in my room and say, "Hey, my homeboy trying to my son trying to get at you." Say God is gonna have to come out of the sky, He Himself, and said, "Hey, this is him, this is her, this is the one."
yeah, like,
I have to respect that.
when it comes to that at this point in time in my life, I'm just like, well, let me just say this. My choices haven't been the greatest, based on just maybe not being in the right space.
Hmm.
Again, capacity, just, still dealing with trust issues. Sometimes I trust too much when I shouldn't trust, and then ego may get in the way. Oh, I can do this, and it's really not, I can't, and then man keeping. I'm just really tired of man keeping, having to, keep him in the space of being okay, keep him fed and it's just I'm tired of the man keeping the housekeeping. Like,
Yo,
I got
that's
enough to do
real.
with me, and I need to focus on me and make sure that at the end of the day, I'm kept
Yeah.
spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and the sexual part comes into it as well. But I know that has to be set to the side because everything else is a lot more important than that. And I've grown to that space to say, you know what, as
Right.
much as I love me some man meat, I'm gonna have to just pause for the cause on that. It's
Listen, that's
not
real.
it's not working right now. Just pause on the man meat, okay? Just let's
Yeah.
be still. You done had enough for to hold you over.
Yeah.
So I'm just in that space now. I'm like, let's just
So she said, man, meat.
yeah.
Pause. Pause. Because I already know CJ's looking over here like, pause, dude, pause. A pause again, just in case. So, would you say in this season of your life, as you are enjoying as you are enjoying this uh, level of freedom that you never had in your career, but also there's a part of you that is still growing and learning? Would you say you're in a healing phase right now?
I am.
Yeah,
I am. And I'm healing and discovering. Yeah. Because I don't think you'll ever know yourself in totality.
yeah,
Because it's not until you experience certain things in life that you recognize who you are and what you will do. Something has to happen to trigger a certain aspect of you to be able to respond to that. And so I'm, healing and discovery.
yeah. What has healing been like for you? What has that journey been like? Has it?
It's been chill. It's been like, I'm one, like, I have conversation with God all the time. And so it's like, okay, what is it that you need me to do? What is it that you want me to do? Where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to get there? And what's going on with me? Like, why am I feeling this way? And to just be able and to be in a space where um it's not pushed. It's not, I'm not being egged to just like get it done, get it done. I'm moving at my own pace
Yeah,
and accepting the things that need to be accepted,
yeah,
disregarding the things that make no sense,
yeah.
that don't work for me. So it's been chill. I've had,
Yeah.
like
Any
like
moments?
everyone.
Any moments that make you cringe when you discover, or once you discover something?
I wouldn't necessarily say it makes me cringe, but I'm like, damn, for real? Like, is this what, you did that? Why did you do that? I question, I have conversation with myself a lot
Yeah.
and I answer.
Okay.
I'm one to answer because one of the things that I know when I ask myself a question, if I'm asking me a question, then I know I have the answer. And so just, having those moments where there's that enlightenment, I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. Well, why did you do that? And how did it make you feel? And so, I get answers and then I'm, kind of guiding myself along.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've had any cringe moments because at the end of the day, I'm like, well, that was what it's supposed to be. It's life. It's gonna happen how it
Yeah.
happens. You make your choices based off, or so you make decisions based off of choices, and it's like, okay, well, you made that decision based off of that choice. Wasn't the best one,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
And also you make choices based off the information that you had at that time.
Absolutely.
And the only way the choice changed, the information has to change.
Boom.
Y'all catch that. Your choices don't change until the information changes. Because
Hmm.
you cannot make better decisions until you have better information.
Hmm.
And I think for us within the Black community, a lot of choices are made off of information that's not good for us.
Hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
and that's both men and women.
Absolutely.
You know, so I want to transition because recently you were spotted singing a gospel song.
Ah, as my stomach was growling. Can y'all hear that?
So you're spotted singing a
Yes.
gospel song,
Hmm.
and to some it's a shock because it's like, oh, this is Adina Howard singing. I think was it Amazing Grace
Yes.
singing Amazing Grace, but not realizing that your background is church.
Mhm.
Now, in this season of your life, is uh, Christian or gospel or faith based? I don't know the genre that they have in the music industry. Like, is that pulling you more right now in this season of your life?
No,
No.
not at all. When I sing love songs to God, it's just for us.
Okay.
I don't care to do it for the world to hear. Because it's not for the world to hear. It's for my God to hear me sing
Yeah.
and then keep it moving. But if it's something that is presented to me, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm just really mm.
I can see you doing. I can see you cutting a single, a
So
gospel
I
single.
Overstand is more of an inspirational
Hmm.
song. So I like inspirational music. One of my inspirations, one of my what's the word? Because she's well, I wouldn't say idol, but someone that I looked up to, influences
Hmm.
CC Winans. I loved BB and CC Winans
Oh
growing
yeah.
up. So listening to them growing up was because it was love songs to God, but it wasn't so gospel. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And a lot of people got upset about that when they first started singing.
Man.
People were hot as fish grease,
Man.
right? But it was something that opened the world up to be able to like gravitate to that without it being, so gospel and so, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know.
Tambourines and
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
Ghost.
See, CC, BB and CC had folks confused, man, because I
They
remember
did.
hearing this song when I was a kid. I was like, "Is this gospel sound more like R&B?"
And I
But they,
loved
but
it.
they but they added a different sound
Yeah.
that made gospel music not only catchy, but made gospel music,
More
in such a
palatable.
way exactly more palatable to where you was like, you know what, I can rock with that,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And I can remember what is the song? All I want to do is
Just explain,
yeah.
why do I feel the way I do? What a joy to share with you.
Listen, I thought that
Yeah.
was a love song,
Because
but
it
it's a love
was.
to
Because
Jesus,
it is. See?
To Jesus,
See?
love song to Jesus.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, because when you first hear it, I was like, dang, somebody getting that work. They singing to somebody, man. You know what I mean? I'm
God
like,
was getting that work. That's who it was.
but it
Absolutely.
was such a beautiful like display of love toward God in such a different way that wasn't the old hymns. And
Exactly.
because I grew up in the South, so most of the songs that I learned in church were struggle songs.
Yeah.
How I made it over.
Nobody knows.
You know, it's like, man.
Yeah.
So I can really appreciate, what you're doing with I Overstand, because I think there is something to be said about music in the inspiration of faith based or whatever genre you want to place it in, for music to be palatable so where people can digest it.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's nothing worse than an antiquated sort of framework on how we do things. And that's where we have been for many years in the black churches.
I think religion in general. See, I'm not a religious person. I'm a relationship person.
It's funny you say that because that is Bullard was just here, former WWE wrestler. He said the same thing. He said, "I'm not a religious person. I'm a relationship person." How have how has your faith played a role in your journey?
My goodness. Um, it helps me stay sane. My faith has helped me make better decisions. Um, it's really just helped me stay, you know, centered and grounded. Not really, again, drinking the Kool-Aid and getting caught up in the hype and recognizing that, okay, you have a responsibility. It's definitely helped mature me as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, recognizing that I have a responsibility not just to myself, but to those who have a tendency to want to gravitate to me and help me recognize the influence that I have. Because when I was younger, I was like, I don't give a damn. I'm not raising anybody's kids. This ain't my responsibility. I'm doing me. I'm living my life. I have a career, and I'm not going to tailor it to help you raise your kids. That's not my job.
So what you're saying is that if some parent walked in and their son or daughter was listening to your music, that wasn't your problem.
No. Because what I know is when I grew up, if my mother didn't want us listening to certain music, it wasn't played in the household. Don't hold me accountable for you raising your child. That's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
Period. Now, if they come in, if I see them in person and they happen to run up on me and say, "Oh my gosh, I love your music," da 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 da, then I may have some words like, first of all, what are you doing listening to my music and why?
Yeah.
And might have that kind of conversation where it's like, okay, so where are you, in your journey? What are you doing? What are your grades and things of that nature? I may, sow some seed, but for the most part, that's not my responsibility to raise your child. Mm-mm, not. I don't have any.
She says not her responsibility. Listen, I love it because I think sometimes we can try to delegate that to other people when it comes to our parenting, and not realizing that children will be children, because you hear that right often. Well, children will be children, but there's a responsibility on the parent that while they may be children, what is the structure and what is the order that you have in your home and the standard in your place? Because like I said, when we opened up the show, when I heard the song, I was sneaking and listening to it, right? Because my dad was like, "Nah, y'all ain't listen to that music." You know what I mean? So, and then by the time I heard T-shirt and panties, I was in college. This is like, I mean, how old were you made T-shirt and panties?
T-shirt and pants. At that point, I think I was probably like 23, 24.
So that came after Freak Like Me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow. Now, was that written by somebody else, or was that
Jamie Foxx wrote that song.
Jamie Foxx wrote that song?
Yep, Jamie Foxx wrote that song.
Now, he sure did.
Yeah.
Man, I remember, because isn't he on the intro?
That's his voice in the intro.
Man, listen, I got a good memory, CJ. I got a good memory. I remember being at Tarleton State University, and this is when DJ Screw used to sell CDs, and most of my homeboys coming from Houston, and they used to chop and screw music, and they chopped and screwed T-shirt and panties. To all of my college teammates, y'all know we was jamming that T-shirt and panties, chopped and screwed, man.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
that.
Oh,
yeah.
You remember that?
I remember that because that was the first time I ever heard of chopped and screwed. I was like, what the hell did they do to my song?
Man, listen.
But especially here in Texas,
In Texas?
that is what y'all do.
In Texas,
That's
that
what y'all
T-shirt
do.
and panties, chopped and screwed?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. With that bass line hitting, oh my gosh, man.
Look at he having flashbacks now.
Listen.
I was slanging man meat like it wasn't nothing. It was on my list, my playlist.
Listen, man. I had DJ Screw used to do what they call F actions. That was the name of the CD. F actions. And T-shirt and panty has to be on was it like F Action 20? This is how I remember it. It had to be on F Action 20. Let me see. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I'm gonna pull this up.
Wow. I just remember, like I said, T-shirt and pants, chopped and screwed. Because I never heard of chopped and screwed before until, T-shirt and panties in Texas. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you say chopped and screwed, you automatically think Texas.
Oh, nigga. That had us in a chokehold. Do you hear me? Everybody was trying to get this CD on college campus. Man. Oh my God. I could call some of my teammates right now and be like, t-shirt and pants and chopped screws. Them niggas like go crazy. They will go crazy. I cannot tell you how many times my whole boy, this dude would have a girl over. This fool would go by. This was like they had the cheap candles, man. That wax
He
would
said the
give you.
cheap candles.
This wax was so toxic you could smell it when it was burning.
Wow.
Would have candles all over. I walked in there and all I heard was t-shirt and pants. I think, what the hell you doing here? Man, I got a little something coming through, man. So, God, man, Barnett, go and get what you gonna get. Because he had all the food. Man, go and get what you gonna get. Man, it just, oh my gosh, it bring back so many memories, man. So I didn't know you wrote that right after Freaking. I mean, that song was produced right after that.
Absolutely. It was on the second album, and the second album was called Welcome to Fantasy Island. It wasn't ever released at the time. They just released it a few years ago.
Yeah.
They had shelved it for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Adina Howard, you're 52 years old. You look amazing. You started this skincare routine that has benefited you in such a great way to where you don't look a day over 30. You look amazing.
I receive it. Yes, I do.
So you have something that you created called CEO. Right? Talk about that.
So SheEO is an agency that is specifically dedicated to establish female talent in the entertainment industry, because we have a tendency, especially those of us that are seasoned in the industry, we've been in it for a while, we have a tendency to be overlooked. And a lot of us have difficulty pivoting, and we may not necessarily have the tools as well to be able to pivot or to be able to manage our careers, etc., effectively and efficiently. And so that's where SheEO comes in. We provide the tools to be successful in the entertainment industry.
Wow, I love that. That is critical for those who are navigating not just life after, but life during. So no, that is awesome. And also, you're celebrating 30 years.
30 and some change and counting. Yeah.
30 years ago, you made that song. Man,
And
I
it's
ain't gonna ask you how
crazy.
you feel because you could keep telling me it's a blur.
You know what? I'm grateful. I'm truly grateful that I've had the longevity, and to look at Chloe Bailey and Tiana Taylor and Megan Thee Stallion actually take that song and utilize it in their music. But whether they know me or not, they've put a piece of history in their music, and they're keeping the song alive and reintroducing me to the world.
Yes.
So I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, y'all need to get to know this amazing sister, Adina Howard. You got to pay homage to history, man. So when you think about your journey as it's sum up like in just one word, what comes in your mind?
Overcomer.
Overcoming.
Overcomer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. As an overcomer, how do you feel?
Blessed and marinated in divine favor.
Still blessed.
Yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, if I had not overcome, I don't know where I would be.
Yeah.
Being an overcomer shows me I'm stronger than I ever thought I possibly could or would be.
Yeah.
That I have drive, dedication, and determination to continue to move forward. In order to overcome, you have to just, put certain doubts out of your head. And even if you do have them, you just have to say, you know what, I can do it. To have faith in myself, to know that I'm able, I'm capable of making it happen. That I have the capacity, that word again, that I have the capacity to keep moving forward in spite of.
Listen, I love it. I think what I loved about this interview is the grace that you have on your life. And because you're an overcomer, and you started off saying earlier that you didn't drink the Kool-Aid, you were able to maintain your sanity, dignity, foundation, mental health, and just like the stableness of your mind.
There are moments where I was not stable. There were moments where I've had moments where, if you ever heard Overstand, there were moments where it's like I had, suicidal thoughts came to my brain for just a brief moment. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not that brave. I don't have that kind of courage to take my life. And I have to grow through what I'm going through. It serves a purpose. Like, they say your tests are your testimonies. And I know that at the end of the day, I have, a testimony. I'm here for a reason, and I'm going through what I'm going through for a reason. It's just like grow through it, get past it. They don't call it growing pains for nothing,
No, you
So
can't grow without the pain of it.
unfortunately,
Fortunately.
you have to. And what I recognize also is that it's a lot of what I went through, a lot of what I'm going to go through, because as long as I'm living, I'm going to be going through something and I have to grow through it. It's not just about me,
Yeah.
it's about making sure that I'm relatable, because someone is going to approach me at some point in time in life and say X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that they may be going through at the time. And they're going to be led to me for a reason. And I'm going to be able to comfort them because I'll be able to relate. Hence, I'll overstand. And I think, every time we go through something in life, it's not just for you. It's for those whose paths you'll cross eventually, and you'll have some effect on them in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah. This has been beautiful. I again want to say thank you to your team and to yourself for sitting down. And what I loved about this is that we got to hear from all different parts of you: childhood, music, who you are today, who you want to become, and even where you are today. I think so many times when we're sitting down with people, I know for me, my goal and my objective is always to extract moments where people can share part of their story that encourages someone else. And what I love about your journey is that you may have known me because of this, but today you're reintroducing yourself as this woman who has overcome. A woman who now says, I get it. I overstand. A woman who is now saying that my father's story was his story, but I'm now rewriting my own story. I think that's powerful because so many times people are navigating through mental health challenges or just through the challenges of life. As I say, mental health is just life in motion.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. It's life in motion because if you're alive, mental health
You're going to
is
be affected in some way,
you're
shape,
going to
form,
be
or
affected.
fashion, because
Exactly.
life is happening in real time.
And it's happening for, let me just say, life is life and for everybody in some way, shape, fashion, or form.
Absolutely.
It's happening. But how you respond to it is always going to be contingent upon the tools that you have. If you don't have any tools, you will be reactionary. But if you have tools, you'll know how to respond.
Absolutely.
The last question I always ask each guest: uh, what is healing for you? When you think about that word healing, what does that mean to you?
Peace. It means peace, because I feel like when you're not healed, when you're going through it, there's a disturbance. There's some upheaval, there's some chaos. Um, and for me, healing means peace, overcoming the drama, the trauma, and being able to sit in that space of gratitude and just saying, okay, I'm good. I've survived this. I've overcome this. I'm I'm now not trying to. I'm not questioning a lot. I'm not disturbed. My groove isn't being disturbed by the shenanigans. Um, I'm not putting extras on it. I'm just. I'm easy. I'm at peace.
Listen, you heard it from Adina Howard. Healing is peace. What does healing mean for you? And we all have different meanings for healing based off of where you are in your life. I often say healing for me is touching the things that you would rather put gloves on to pick up or to touch. Because sometimes healing means going into the crevices and into the dark spaces and into the corners, into the areas that we really don't want to go into. But you can't get to peace until you go through the chaos of healing. Because if I'm honest, healing is a ugly business. It's not cute. It's not pretty. It's not running through a bed of flowers as we see on Instagram where people are reading the journals and I'm healing and I'm drinking tea. That's not healing. Healing is disrupted. And sometimes it can be destructive because you got to address the ugliness that you have covered up in makeup, that you covered up in jewelry, that you covered up in all of the other accessories that Adina talked about in the beginning, how she doesn't like accessories. But healing is saying, I'm not going to put a Band-Aid on it. What are you going to do? Listen, this healing community is a community of people, even myself. Every conversation that I have with a guest, it heals a part of me. And I think what I've just experienced here is the freedom to be. I think it's so difficult for us as we're aging to find freedom to be, because sometimes our freedom is stuck in our childhood. The freedom is stuck in the little boy, stuck in the little girl, and the adult is fighting. But until you go back and visit that little boy, little girl, where those childhood wounds begin, you'll always wish for freedom rather than actually living in it. So, Miss Adina Howard, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to sit down with a legend, to sit down with someone who changed our childhood. Because when her song hit the air, everybody was grabbing their pearls. It's like, ooh, what is this? But also in that moment, I think the world was shifting to allow women to express how they felt about their sexuality, and also giving them a voice that they too could talk about what they desire. So again, thank you for joining the healing community. I just want to say thank you for speaking to the women in the part where you shared about business over babies. I really know, because I know so many women that are in that space where they feel like, what do I choose in this moment?
Choose you first.
I want you to look in the camera and tell them,
Choose you first. It's important.
choose you first. Listen, I want to say take care of yourself, continue your healing journey wherever you may be, because healing is not linear. It's not linear. But what it can be liberating when you begin to set free your mind from the traumas and the restraints that has been attached to your negative experiences. And as I say in closing each episode, healing is a journey and wholeness is the destination. And until next time, heal well.
I just wanna heal in a world of fake. Let's try being something real.